Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to talk about playing new champions, and more specifically giving you guys some reasons to try out and play new champions, especially if they're sort of more obscure champions that you might not even know that they exist in the first place, and might be saying to yourself, man, I have never seen anyone play, let's say, Rumble. What the heck does this champion do? Now, if you've been playing this game for a long time, it's easy to kind of get into a rut with your preferred champions, either your mains or your one trick or just the champions you like best. And even though you might think to yourself, well, I already know what every champion in the game does, so there's no reason for me to actually, go out and play them. I vaguely remember what Nar does. It's been a while, but I do remember what his kit does. You may not actually know what it is he's capable of doing as a whole, or what it is he actually wants to be doing in game. There's just a lot that you can learn from actually playing the champion versus just kind of saying, well, I sort of remember what they're going to do. And I feel like this video today is going to break down a few reasons for why it's important to play different champions, and sort of what these reasons are for actually trying to pick someone up. Now, to make things clear, this is not me saying you have to start playing the champion permanently once you've played them. It just means maybe you play a couple of one-off games on Udyr, let's say, or you decide, I'm just going to play this one game on Vel'Koz to kind of see how this guy actually works. And this is a good thing for a couple different reasons. The first and foremost of which is, of course, that you do plan on playing the champion permanently. There's obviously the chance that you will decide that you like the champion that you played and you want to play them more, which is a good thing, because having a broader champion pool gives you more tools to work with in Champ Select and a wider variety of potential options in the event that the champion you plan to play gets banned or picked away from you. Now, I know I harp on this all the time, guys, but consider this. You want to play your main Yasuo in the mid lane, but the enemy team is locking in lots of anti-armor tanks like Malphite in the top lane, or a mage is a targeted CC like Ryze or Annie that will just completely make you have a bad day. Instead of then just picking Yasuo blindly because, well, he's a champion I actually play and I feel the most comfortable in him, if you've played the champion before, you might be able to instead flex your mid lane pick to an AP mage like Sylas, who's got a similar playstyle to Yasuo, but also then is AP. He has some ways of playing around things like Ryze trying to lock him down, or Malphite trying to ult him. They're just like a variety of different tools now at your disposal if you're able to say, I have this champion in my wheelhouse, as opposed to what might have happened before where you say, well, I don't have any champions that could possibly work in this situation, so I'm just going to play what I know. Now, the caveat on this is obviously that you won't like every champion you play, but at least trying them will let you know if you'll like them or not. I do feel like there are a lot of champions that people kind of look at and say, I'm not sure if I would actually like this champion, so I'm not going to play them, and then end up liking them down the line when they either get them in an ARAM or finally do decide to take that plunge. There are a few champions I didn't know I would like until I played them, including Kled, who's a champion I have the highest mastery on out of any champion that I play, is on Kled. And when I first played Kled, I really thought that that was not a champion I was going to like. So it's definitely worth it to take time and to kind of say, hey, is this something I would like? Take that plunge and sort of maybe recognize that, hey, I do like this and can add it to the pool, or maybe I don't, and move on from there. But even if you decide you don't want to play a champion long term, playing different champions will allow you to broaden your skill set, because different champions are each going to teach you very different skills. And this goes on a class basis as well as a champion basis, right? If you're playing an AD carry, for example, that's going to put an emphasis on orb walking, last hitting, and DPSing safely in fights, especially in terms of your positioning in fights and how you should be playing as sort of this squishy, high, glass cannon, high damage dealer champion, right? And that's on a class basis. If you're not normally an AD carry player, finding an AD carry and playing them, even if it's not something you plan on doing long term, or I would prefer to never play AD carry if I can help it, at least having an AD carry that you play once or twice will help teach you these fundamentals. And obviously it can get deeper from there. If you're able to play champions like Jarvan IV, a lot of, Jarvan will teach you how to properly use your ultimate for initiations, how to kind of fight as sort of a lighter fighter than a main tank, right? An Ornn initiation is going to feel a lot different from a Jarvan the fourth initiation, because Jarvan is considerably squishier and doesn't become quite as durable as Ornn can, so he can make fewer mistakes. Or landing your very important skill shots, and sort of how important that EQ combo can be. And so, and even if you don't continue to play the champion, right, or the role for that matter, just knowing how the champion or role works is very useful, because, for example, if I if I know how a Malphite postures when he wants to look for the initiation setup, right? That's useful if I'm playing on his team, because I know that my, maybe random top laner Malphite, my autofilled top laner Malphite, is looking for an initiation, because I can kind of see how he's posturing and say, I've done that before myself. I know what that looks like. He's looking for his team fight. Or if I'm playing against one, if I know that the Malphite is really looking to try and set up a fight, I'll know what that kind of looks like on the other end and say, he wants to look for a fight, guys, we have to back off here, because he's trying to get that 4-man or 5-man unstoppable force. So even if you don't continue to play Malphite in the future, having played him at least a couple of times and sort of getting a refresher on what it is Malphite even does is a very useful thing. And speaking about what a champion does, or what their abilities do, learning how to beat a champion can be very well done by playing that champion. Now, this doesn't mean, oh, you're gonna, to beat them, you have to join them, and now you're an Aurelia main because you played them the one time and you just realize I can't possibly beat that champion. But playing a champion is a surefire way to learn how to beat them, because you get this sort of insider's look at their cooldowns, their resource management, and kind of how their skills feel to use. And I know feel here sounds like a very unscientific term, but you just have to trust me on this one. Once you know how a Mystic Shot feels versus a Rocket Grab, you'll have a better time trying to dodge one in the future, because you know sort of what the animation looks like, you'll know what the cast time is like, you'll know how fast the skill shot travels, what the distance is, and those are things you really are only going to get by actually playing as the champion, because you'll have a much better insider's look at how this sort of works, because you'll have used the ability a lot more than if you just play against them, because you will be present for every Mystic Shot that happens in that game, for example, as opposed to just laning against the Ezreal, right? You might see a few dozen, but you're not going to see every single one of the hundreds of Mystic Shots he's going to fire in that game. The other thing here is knowing what the abilities actually do. You can kind of learn small tidbits that are valuable in the future. For example, looking at Corki W and saying, wow, that's like a 30-second cooldown at rank 1, and it's not a first max or even second max. So that's something that if he ever Valks to sort of time that ability, because even if we whiff our initial initiation onto Corki because he uses his Valkyrie, if he steps back up, our abilities will be off cooldown a lot sooner than Corki W will be back up, and we'll be able to get that initiation off. Or knowing, for example, Sivir W or Sivir E has a very similar cooldown to Blitzcrank Rocket Grab. So as long as you hold on to your E for the Rocket Grab every single time, Blitzcrank should never have a window in which he can Rocket Grab you until he starts getting ranks in that ability. Or even smaller things like Yorick lifestealing on every Q. Some players won't know those very, very small details, or Nocturne getting bonus AD on his trail, right? Those are small things that can get lost in the shuffle, especially if it's a champion you've never played before or haven't seen in a long time, that are still valuable to know, because that's still important information that will help you in the future. The other thing that playing the champion can help you with is that if you think a champion is busted, playing them will do one of two things. Either it will confirm your suspicions, right? Oh my god, Xin Zhao really is that easy to play. All I did is press all my buttons and kill them instantly. Or it will deny your suspicions, right? Turns out Riven is actually harder to play than she looks. She's not just sort of a face roll champion that doesn't require any skill to play. I actually kind of had to think while playing this champion, right? So either way, you now have evidence to support your claims or to deny your claims, right? You may come around on a champion like Riven and say, okay, that champion actually does require some skill to play, so I'm not that mad when I get beaten by one because it was a good player. Or it's going to confirm your claims, right? And you can say definitively, yeah, I played Xin Zhao. I went 14-0 my first game, didn't even know what his buttons did. So champion's clearly broken. But either way, you then have evidence, right? Which is better than just kind of going off of a feel and saying, oh, they have to be broken because of X, Y, and Z. If you can play them and sort of get a feel for yourself, you can sort of understand better about why this champion might be broken, or in general have fodder for making your arguments in the future, especially if you're a denizen of Reddit who's trying to farm karma by saying, oh, Viego's totally broken or something along those lines. But either way, those are all generally, I feel, good reasons to play new champions in this game. Again, even if you don't plan on playing these champions again in the future, these are all good reasons for just picking them up at least once or twice and kind of sort of saying, hey, how does this champion feel to play? What are some things I can learn by playing this champion? And at the bare minimum, it's going to break you out of your mold of whatever champions you normally play and get you to kind of experience the game in a different light and maybe learn some different things. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you guys learned something from the video today. Let me know your thoughts on any of this down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and leave a like. And if you really enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And stay tuned, potentially, for some interesting content that might be coming out a little bit different from my normal stuff. Stay tuned on that. No guarantees, but definitely subscribe to the channel if you're interested in seeing. Anyways, once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.